You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Really looking forward to getting started this week and hopefully starting the week off right with our Motivation and Mindset Monday show for you. And what I want to do today is, again, we've talked about a lot of topics in the past, and I do recommend that you go back, you listen to those Motivation and Mindset Mondays anytime you need a little bit of a spark. And I know you're going to have better days and better weeks than others. There's no doubt about that. That's part of the ebb and flow of life that I talk about. And again, none of these things are my specific messages that I made up. What I do is I try to look at it through the lens of someone that might be dealing with some wellness issues, some weight loss issues, some issues with just overall quality of life. And I work with so many people in my practice with such a diverse background and also set of symptoms that they're currently struggling with right now that I just try to share a little bit with you about other people, myself included, and how they've overcome their specific struggles. And today's topic is actually why a lot of the time, we have to stop fighting against all the negative things in our life. We actually have to start to embrace a little bit more of the struggle. And here's why I say that. When I started to and again, I didn't believe any of this. Honestly, 20 years ago, a little bit more than that, totally unheard of to me. This is basically a foreign language, completely a foreign language. Again, I'm a kid from Medford, Massachusetts. None of this stuff was ever talked about. This was just woo-woo to me, way over my head, made no sense, couldn't be real. But as I began to just allow my mind to simply be open to possibility, I started to see what all of the great masters throughout the history of time, we're not talking about the last 50 years, last 100 years, last 1,000 years. We're talking about going back in time from recorded history. Everyone has always said, this is what's always been said from a subconscious level as well, even a conscious mindset, that whenever we fight something or we give anything our energy, and fighting something is also giving it our energy, we get more of that thing. And again, that it doesn't seem possible. And the reason it doesn't seem possible is because you say to yourself, well, I don't want more of the struggle. I don't want more of the hardship. I don't want more obstacles. I don't want more family issues, relationship issues, weight gain issues, wellness issues. I don't want my joints to hurt. I don't want headaches. I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to be tired. And you don't. I understand that. From at least a conscious level, who would ever want to suffer with any of those things? But sometimes we are faced with them. And a lot of times we don't know the reason specifically we're faced with them. We don't know if that's just one of those lessons we're meant to be taught in life. We don't know if it's because of our genetic predisposition. We don't know if it's because of some type of gut-based issue, rheumatoid arthritis, sarcoidosis, Hashimoto's, autoimmune. We don't know specifically. We know right now, though, what we struggle against. But the problem is when we get angry at it, when we get irritable, when we get overwhelmed, we're giving that specific problem more of our energy. That means we're thinking more about it, we're focused more on it, and it's what we feel. It's a vicious cycle, it really is. And I understand why you're doing it. Believe me, I spent a half a decade in that hole, at least a half a decade before being able to pull myself out of it. So believe me, I know very well, but I also know that I got worse because of that specific struggle. I didn't embrace it. I didn't understand that in that time of my life, which was very difficult. I didn't understand at that time that I was going through something that would eventually shape what I eventually become. And I'm going to share a little bit more about that in a moment. But what I do want to say is that when you are, even if you're saying, I don't want this, you are getting more of that. Why? Because you're simply focused on it. You're thinking about it. When you think about something, you have a tendency to get more of it. Now, why would you ever get more of it just by thinking about it? Well, because you're now focused on that one particular obstacle, and what you're focused on is hardship. you tend to get more of those things, or at least see more of the hardships in life. You probably know this intuitively, that when you're having a good day, yes, you're still having a lot of those same hardships, right? But you're able to deal with them in a little better capacity because you're not full up to your eyeballs, literally, in stress. So that means when a few things go wrong, you're better able to manage it. But when you are deep in the struggle, what happens is that you've used your last fuse, right? It's totally used up. It's blown. It's gone. And now you're reacting to everything, even small things. But the issue is this. When we stew in it, it just becomes that vicious cycle. Now, like literally, I'm going to talk about genetics right now as well. Some people, myself included, actually have a genetic variation in their genome. And again, you can test this with a really good genetic test that makes you fire more norepinephrine, more ACTH, leading to more cortisol. That means for someone like myself, and again, I'm not using any excuses, but I want to explain it to you. Some people are actually more prone to getting more angry, more irritable, more any of those things. And it's hard to bring myself back down. So, but now that I know that, and I've been able to self-correct, what I do is I realize I have to work on my breathing. I need to work on a lot of things to keep myself balanced. But also, I try to say this, no matter how today goes, I'm going to go to bed tonight early, get this day over with, and tomorrow's going to be a new day. You have to learn that there are always going to be struggles. You have to be able to break that cycle as quickly as possible, and that struggle in the future, which I'm going to teach you about. But also the fact is this, is we need to understand that honestly and truly, our life really is about the struggles and the triumphs. And there are no triumphs, there are no successes without obstacles. It's literally impossible, because if not, where's the success? What have you overcome? If you haven't risen above anything, how can you be proud of anything? Honestly, if you skate by in life, and you can see this, and I see it all the time as well, when people skate by in life, when they've never had any of those struggles, they're not as happy. They're not fighting for anything that's worth achieving. Now, I know that's difficult. I'm telling you right now, I understand it. When you're depressed, when you're anxious, when you're in a tough relationship, your kids aren't well, you're not well, an aging parent's not doing well. It's hard. I'm not saying that it's not. And sometimes there might not be a great alternate ending. But what I can tell you is this. These struggles, they are a good way of us being tested. And the way that they test us is the way now that we can see what type of person we are and how we're going to respond to it. How we respond gradually builds up our self-image, our confidence, and if we overcome it, which I know that you can and I know that you will, that when you move on to the next challenge, and believe me, there will be another challenge, there will be another struggle, you're going to be able to be better prepared for it, and you're going to use the building blocks of the previous challenge you've overcome. I know for myself right now, and this goes for thousands of other people that I've worked with, when they overcome their wellness, their weight loss, whatever issue it might be, mental or physical, when they overcome that, they know, and I've mentioned this before, that they can't be broken, that they are stronger than they've ever been in their life, and every year gets even better. And the reason is they've been tested, and they haven't been taken down. Yes, they've been knocked down and they get back up. That's the truth. And you will be knocked down because you won't always see the struggle coming at you. You won't see those obstacles coming right at you. But what happens is when you do get better, you're more grateful for what you do have. You're more grateful for that lot that you do now have in life. You don't know how long it's going to last before the next ebb and flow. You don't. But you can be grateful for what you do have. That's the start to getting better. And one of the greatest things that I found, and I'm going to talk about this in the future as well, is be able to then mentor another person who's struggling. And that doesn't mean you need to be a doctor to recommend someone run a food sensitivity test or recommend they may want to cut out gluten or chocolate or something like that. That might be causing them a particular issue. For example, just today in my practice, Met with a woman about 6 weeks ago. She already had her lab test done. We went through I gave her a whole plan. Okay. She was dealing with debilitating migraines and headaches for the past 2 decades. I gave her a specific elimination diet based for her specific needs. Within 21 days, after 2 decades, no more headaches, no more migraines. The side effect was this. She didn't even know she was bloated. She didn't even know that she was waking up through the night. She didn't even know she had low energy. She didn't even know that she was constipated. All of those things got better. All of those things got better. Now for her, she's not a doctor, but she can now share her struggle and also her triumphs with her daughters, with her friends, family, coworkers. And she can be that beacon of hope, that beacon of light for other people as well. That's what it's all about. I didn't make this up, but I love the saying, and it's each one teach one. That's it. Part of your life, some areas of your life, I'm guaranteeing you right now, you are an expert compared to another person. You're not the best at it in the world, but you're an expert compared to the general population. You are able to then share your knowledge with another person. Right away, as you begin to share your knowledge, you begin to overcome whatever it is that you struggle with. Because as you teach, you progress, you step forward. So that, again, let's go back to it. As you're struggling, when you're in it, it's challenging. You will overcome it, but you'll also understand that as you're overcoming those challenges, they're shaping you, they're shaping your life. And I honestly believe the most interesting people I've met are the ones that have gone through the most struggles, the most hardships. They didn't necessarily grow up with a lot or even a lot in their corner. They might not have had a lot of money growing up. They might have dealt with childhood-based issues, parent issues, any of those things. And today, if they didn't let it take them down, if they overcame it, if they persisted, they are some of the most well-rounded, beautiful, and empathetic people that I've ever met. And it's because they come from a place of not having a lot, or at least having to overcome something that stood in the way to them eventually leading a very happy and healthy life. And I think the two go hand in hand. It's difficult to be happy without your health. And it's difficult to be healthy without being happy. So when I do say that you come across these struggles, is that you start to embrace them. And you embrace them by first being grateful for what you do have, because not everything in your life is bad right now. You might seem that way. You might think that way. That's just not the truth. There are some things in your life that are going well, that are better, 10 times better than another person has it. Okay? And I've learned this from world travel, especially when I was in India, especially when I was in Sri Lanka. I saw people living on the street. I saw children living on the street, and the conditions were deplorable. I won't go into it today right now. But no matter how bad I ever had it or thought that I had it, it wasn't as bad as that. But I can tell you this, it doesn't justify me not feeling that I have it bad, that I did go through hardships, because I did. And they're my personal struggle and no one else's. And you're going through your own personal struggle, and no one will ever understand it like you do. And they're not supposed to. But everyone has their own hardships. When you look at someone and their life just seems amazing, I'm guaranteeing you they have their own struggles. But now they might be at a point in their life, just like I am right now, where they've overcome many things. And so again, when I hit a road bump, I look at it as just that. This is not going to last. This is not going to persist. Right now, not happy about my current situation, but I know I'm going to overcome it because I've always overcome everything in the past. And because I've overcome those things as well, I know that although I don't have the answer today to my current struggles, I will figure it out. It's about having enough confidence in yourself, or at least believing and giving yourself enough of a shot that you know you too will overcome this struggle. So in the end, I want to close with this. I want you to start to reshape your thought process about your hardships, the obstacles, the struggle. Begin to embrace the struggle, meaning that when you overcome this, when you get to that other side, I'm telling you right now, you will be happy for that struggle because it will have shaped you. It will make you more well-rounded. You'll have more experiences in life, And you'll be able now to share more with others. You really will be. I do not regret anything that I went through. And even though it took a long time for me to get better, well, what can I take from that? Well, I can take from it this, is that had I gotten better quickly, I most likely would never have gotten into naturopathic medicine. I wouldn't have. What would have been the point, right? But since I got better slowly, very slowly, before, again, all of the true internet was there and all of these things, I had to read books. That was my love for reading. It started there because I couldn't afford to see all of these doctors, but I could read. And so I would go to the library and then I would buy books with the money that I did have and I would just read. And then when I would read one book, there'd be a topic in it that I had never heard about and I would start to read that. And that was that love for reading that would never have happened. It would never have happened had I not been trying to overcome something. And then since I did get better slowly, I got to experiment with so many different forms of medicine. And I got to see so many different doctors. And then I was so skeptical because of my struggle that lasted almost a decade that I then was so skeptical, I said, you know what? It's not enough. I'm going to study in India and Sri Lanka and China and Europe and the US. And I'm going to see who's really helping people get better. And when I see that form of medicine, well, that's what I'm going to practice because my goal is to make sure that no one else has to suffer like I did. Or if they are suffering, I'm going to help them relieve that within about 12 weeks' time. That was my mission. That is my goal. And that would never have, again, this was never the plan. The plan was never to become a naturopathic doctor. The word was unheard of until I was about 23, 24 years old. So again, we don't always know how we're being shaped. And that's why I don't want you to discount what you're going through right now, because it really can turn you into, again, one of the most well-rounded, one of the most grateful, one of the most empathetic people. And I think people really will genuinely see you going through the struggle, coming out the other side, and want some of what you have right now. Thank you everyone for tuning into another Cabral Concept. Appreciate each and every one of your listens. And again, if today's message could help anyone, feel free to please share it with them. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.